talk about the Stahlta. Hang on, fucking Moog is he wants me to talk about the Stahlta on stream.
Stahlta level cap.
I mean, Stahlta's a great fucking weapon. Unless he means do we like pretend? Dude. Do we pretend to talk shit about the Stahlta so he can do like a
response.
Yeah, the response to the idiot content creators.
The Stahlta's dog shit, right, guys?
Oh yeah, I hate the Stahlta. It's the weakest weapon in the game. It's just the AO lack again. Like, come on, Snore.
The biggest complaints about Stahlta was that 1. It didn't have enough ammo reserved for the alt-fire. 2. The alt-fire was insanely slow to fire, like really slow, even worse than Queller, with an innate damage type that couldn't dot. 3. Small magazine even for primary fire. And 4. Couldn't consistently one-shot enemies on alt-fire to justify its use.
Wait, pause.
Έκανα... There we go, that is the one shot that I wanted.
Hey, I want to watch though.
I'll wait for you to get close. Do you know what the number said? You know what the number said?
Negative?
No, but it said 494 million. It's a demo list. It's a demo list. This guy has 90% DR. In my opinion, the strongest gun in the game, Stahlta is by far my most used weapon, and it's in my opinion the most overlooked weapon in the entire game. This gun has everything: single target damage, AoE, utility, ease of use, and best of all, it's really satisfying. A lot of people know me for this gun, and I'm finally doing a detailed guide on it with the rest of the weapons from my latest Jade Shadows video. In this video, you will learn of Stahlta's utilities, how to maximize its damage, how to build it depending on what is better for you, and how to apply it to your gameplay no matter what warframe or playstyle you are choosing. I hope you enjoy. Every build and explanation has timestamps that you can go through directly, but before that, let's take a look at the weapon. The Stahlta is a slow-firing assault rifle with low projectile speed bullets that deal really high damage. These bullets have innate punch-through going through bodies and doors, it is hybrid-based, has a fast reload, and a tendency to deal slash damage. The Stahlta poses a secondary fire as well, which charges 20 bullets at once, unleashing all of them in a really powerful explosive shot that deals primarily slash damage on impact with radiation on the explosion itself. The charge time is fairly slow, and just like the primary fire, this is hybrid based but with a slight advantage to criticals. Some important notes about these two firing modes: projectile speed does not affect them, which is most likely a bug. Both of them have multiplicative CO on direct impact through galvanized aptitude, and both benefit normally from multi-shot. CO being multiplicative means that buffs like Serration and the Arcanes get their damage multiplied by galvanized aptitude instead of just adding to the percentage to the already existing damage, making Serration an excellent choice, especially for those not liking Bane modes. The secondary fire will also deal a guaranteed impact status proc when there is direct impact with an enemy, which will be important later down the line. Which gets us to our first and strongest Stahlta build, the no fire rate max damage. Whenever you see no fire rate, it means that your build doesn't include a fire rate mode, and instead you search for that fire rate mode from external sources like Wisp, Gauss or Harrow, Reinforced Bond or Arcane Acceleration, with my biggest recommendation for running Stahlta on a Gunzerker frame being Arcane Acceleration. The build is fairly straightforward: 2 galvanized modes, chamber for multi-shot and aptitude for extra multiplicative damage, critical delay for crit chance, vital sense and hammer shot for critical damage, and finally prime cryo rounds and infected clip for viral damage. As you can see, I have a riven here replacing infected clip and adding an extra critical chance and critical damage. Because of the purposes of this video, the riven mod you're seeing here will not be used and instead will be replaced by infected clip directly. The Exodus slot using vigilante supplies to refill ammo if needed, but more importantly to add the vigilante mod passive of 5% to get the bigger crit tier, from yellow to orange and from orange to red respectively. This mod is also able to not be maxed at all to save mod space if you need to, which in my case I will do to fit infected clip into the build like this. Primary deadhead for easier stacking and extra headshot damage, and generally this is the best arcane that you should use on almost every gun in the game. The variation that you can do to this build is simply add a Bane mode for whenever you want to fight tough Grineer enemies at high level, but even without it, this build is strong enough to go to level cap without any issues whatsoever. On base Steelpath, you can just shoot at a group of enemies and watch them disappear. You can use the primary fire to guarantee headshots while also dealing heavy damage per bullet, and you can also make enemies fight each other, easily creating a small form of CC thanks to the Stahlta's high status chance of 83% using its secondary fire with this build. It's a general build for any mission, and a riven mod will boost the effectiveness of it that much further. The second build that would be fire at max damage simply replaces hammer shot with Val acceleration. And as you can see, when it comes to base Steelpath, there is literally no difference. It still just one-shots anything, including the demo so long as you have a primer. The third build is focused around the primary fire and will utilize Xata's Whisper. On this build, fire rate or no fire rate doesn't matter. We start with Prime Shred to further boost the fire rate and the punch through over weapon, continuing with the Bane of Grineer mode or whatever faction you're fighting, and following it up with Rime rounds and infected clip. This time we're using Rime rounds instead of Prime Cryo rounds because we care about the extra status chance to provide to our primary fire. Galvanized Aptitude and Chamber are as always for the multiplicative CO plus the extra multi-shot, and critical delay plus vital sense for the extra crits. Vigilante armaments on the Exodus to help you with ammo pickups as well as enhancing crits, and primary deadhead once again for the extra headshot damage and also to keep the stacks up. This build is focused around dealing heavy single target damage with the primary fire. It's really strong for Disruption mission and the Archon hunts, but it is a direct synergy with Xata's Whisper, so remember to always use this build alongside Xata's Whisper or else it will simply not do enough damage. The fourth build is focused around doing as much area of effect damage as possible. This is max AoE, no fire rate. Because this build is focused around the area of effect damage which doesn't benefit from Galvanized Aptitude, we are only using Galvanized Chamber on this build. The Galvanized Aptitude would only deal extra damage if we had guaranteed and direct impact with the enemy on our secondary fire. Since we don't, this mode is useless on this build. Instead, we're replacing it with Prime Firestorm, we're adding even more AoE by adding heavy caliber and reducing the accuracy of the weapon, Prime Cryo rounds and infected clip as always, which is replaced by the riven here, vital sense and vigilante armaments for the extra crits, along with point strike for extra crit chance. Vigilante armaments with vigilante supplies provide the extra crit tier, while armaments also provides extra multi-shot if you need that much more AoE. Finally, we're using primary merciless for this arcane because we are using primarily the AoE damage. We're not aiming for headshots, we're aiming at enemies' general direction. After some testing, I was surprised to see that this build was way better without Hunter munitions and just going straight damage. The fact that even without a riven mode to the mix, it one-shots any enemy you may face with ease shows you the sheer power of this weapon. The setup provides 3 to 4 shots when fully stacked, going to random direction with each shot having a 10.4 meter blast radius. The fifth build, which is max AoE fire rate, simply replaces our Vigilante armaments mode for Vile acceleration. And just like the previous build, no issues. As long as you shoot in the general direction, your enemies will most likely die. Excellent and very synergistic with things like Mirage. The sixth build is focused around doing as much damage over time as possible. This is max DOT, no fire rate. So by far the most complicated and most advanced build so far, this build utilizes the Stahlta's guaranteed impact proc on its secondary fire by adding internal bleeding to turn that impact proc into a slash proc. The slash proc is pretty much guaranteed because 70% chance at more than 2 multi-shot is pretty much guaranteed every single time that you will do that DOT and that slash proc. So we will further boost that slash proc by adding Rifle Elementalist, Hammer Shot and Vital Sense for critical damage, Critical Delay for critical chance, Bane of Grineer mode because we're gonna take this against the Grineer Disruption missions, Galvanized Aptitude for the extra multiplicative CO from our primer, and Galvanized Chamber finally for the extra multi-shot, alongside with Deadhead and Vigilante supplies as always for the extra crits and headshot damage. Using this build will give you some extremely high DOT on the target with just one shot. A primer alongside your stacks are more than enough to kill even the toughest Grineer Demolist with just one shot. This is very satisfying to watch, and the damage numbers that your DOT may deal can get to insanely high numbers, and you can get really fun results very quickly. The 7th build is the max DOT fire rate build, and once again it just switches Hammer Shot for Vile Acceleration. Normally I would tell you to go for a different arcane than Deadhead because you cannot stack Deadhead through bleed damage, but honestly the gun's primary fire makes stacking Deadhead super easy no matter what enemy level you are. This means you can keep your 38% headshot damage and get those huge bleed procs after your deadly initial hit. Just remember to bring your primer along the way. The final build we will focus on is a noob friendly build. Since the gun is mastery rank 10, this build will help you deal with Star Chart and even some Steel Path without issues. So this build will probably take you only one forma. It is a very simple build consisting of 2 Vigilante modes, Armaments and Fervor for extra crits, Split Chamber for extra multi-shots, Serration for extra damage, Rhyme Rounds and Malignant Force, but either of these can be replaced with their 90s counterpart of Effective Clip and the Cry Rounds, normal Cry Rounds. But I would prefer this because the primary fire of the Stahlta is very useful on those early levels. Point Strike and Vital Sense for extra crits, and that is what you have as a low level player. So when you get higher and higher in ranks, you will max out your modes, you will start getting arcanes, you will start getting galvanized modes, and then you will start doing this, and then adding galvanized aptitude, you will start adding way more stuff that can make it useful, and you will keep working your way back up. So let's see how this does against actual Steel Path enemies. Alright, for this final mission I'm gonna go do Hepit on the Void. Hepit is a classic mission for whenever you want to do a testing of a weapon if it's viable in even lowest level Steel Path. And as you can see, the Stahlta is actually able to kill the low level Steel Path enemies with relative ease. So this is the normal primary fire, this is the alt fire. The old fire does deal with the heavier units just fine. Struggles a bit against armor, obviously, because you're missing galvanized modes, galvanized aptitude, which gives the most of the damage from this weapon, but you're still able, with a bit of tryhard, to do even Steel Path content. So this guy crouched below my shot, that's epic, but as you can see the second shot connects and he's actually down. So even using a very low economy build without galvanized modes, without any arcanes and without anything, you are still able to finish a capture mission on Steel Path without having any issues whatsoever. That is it for the video. 8 builds to choose from with many variations to fill whatever playstyle you're looking for. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to not miss out on the next weapon, which is going to be Lieutenant Blaxion, and join my Discord server consisting of more than 600 people to get answers to your questions about guns, builds or rivens. Thank you very much for watching.